In this image, you see multiple generations gathered around a table, smiling and talking. What you are seeing is culture in its most natural form, and at the center of every moment like this one is language. Today, I want to talk about how the language children speak shapes who they become and what they lose when we take it away. Culture is everything you see on this wheel: food, religion, celebrations, manners, art, and the faces of the kids beside it remind us who is living it. Of all these elements, language is what holds them together. It is how every other part of culture gets passed from one generation to the next. This image speaks volumes. A father reading to his children. Language is being passed down right in that moment. The first language a child hears is the first lens through which they see the world. It shapes how they think, who they are, and where they belong. That is what this presentation is about. This map shows where languages are most at risk of disappearing, and the threat levels are alarming. Nearly half the world's 7,000 languages could be gone by the year 2100. And these are not just statistics. These are children and families whose voices could fade forever. Look at this boy, chin in hand, lost in thought. That inner voice he's hearing, that is language. Vygotsky called it the tool of tools. Language scaffolds thought, guides learning, and builds a child's sense of self. This family is making a meal together, generations all working side by side. Everything being passed down in the kitchen is passing through language. Research consistently shows that children who keep their heritage language develop stronger identity, better mental health, and deeper family bonds. Look at the chalkboard. Yo soy bilingüe. I am bilingual, I am proud. Bialystok and colleagues found that bilingual children outperform monolingual peers in executive function and cognitive control. Bilingualism is not a burden. This teacher and her students know it, and the science backs it up. This teenager is really talking with his parent. That kind of open conversation depends on a shared language. Wong Fillmore's research showed that when children lose their heritage language, this connection breaks down. Tseng and Fulinyi found that adolescents who speak their home language with parents report higher self-esteem and academic motivation. Now contrast the last image with this one, a teenager feeling alone and disconnected. This is what language loss can look like. Wong Fillmore found that children forced to abandon their home language are significantly more likely to experience anxiety, shame, and isolation. This photograph shows Native American children being forced to learn English. When schools silence home languages, the consequences can be lower engagement, broken family bonds, and dropout rates double the national average. The message children receive is always the same. Your language doesn't belong here, therefore you don't really belong here. This illustration captures something I've seen firsthand. While tutoring at an elementary school and college, I was talking with a small group of students and they started naming animals in Spanish. Some of them could not remember words they had once known. You could see it on their faces, realizing what they had lost. That moment ignited my passion for language today. My first year teaching, about 90% of my junior high students were Spanish speaking. Non-Spanish speaking staff wouldn't allow it, but I let them speak Spanish in the classroom. I tried to speak it with them and let them correct me when I got it wrong. We played games from Mexico, read Spanish novels, and talked about their lives. The trust and engagement it fostered was special. The trust between a child and counselor depends entirely on being understood. I saw this firsthand while working at a psychiatric hospital in Boston. When a doctor could speak with a patient in their first language, the relief was visible. They could finally express exactly what they felt. In moments of vulnerability, language is the difference between being heard or feeling invisible. This image says it perfectly. A person surrounded by switches, flipping between them with ease. That is code switching. Adolescents who grow up bilingual move fluidly between languages depending on context. Spanish at home, English at school, maybe something blended with friends. Research confirms it is not confusion. It is a sophisticated cognitive skill. The engagement of these students perfectly depicts what happens when language is valued in the classroom. Thomas and Collier's research showed that dual language immersion produces both bilingual proficiency and higher academic achievement. What this teacher is doing is good practice and evidence-based. Classrooms like this one produce outcomes we should want for every child. This map shows that in Texas, where many of us live and teach, nearly 1 in 3 Texans speaks a language other than English at home. And yet programs for English language learners remain chronically underfunded. We are surrounded by this linguistic richness that is still treated as if it is a problem instead of an asset. UNESCO documents language revitalization success stories around the world. New Zealand reversed the near extinction of Te Reo Maori. Wales brought Welsh back through dedicated language schools. Other countries have shown us what's possible. The only question is whether we are willing to do the same. These teenagers from different backgrounds, languages, and stories are all choosing to come together. This is exactly what we need to build. Families must maintain the home language, schools must hire bilingual educators and fund heritage programs, and communities must create affirming spaces. This is the goal. Children who are full of joy because they feel seen, heard, and celebrated. Language is not just communication. It is memories, love, and belonging. When we protect a child's language, we protect their identity and build their sense of self. We end where we began, a family gathered together laughing. This is possible when language is protected, when children can speak to their grandparents, when culture flows freely between generations. I have seen what happens when language is honored and what happens when it is not. I know which world I want to help build.